Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome. You have been listening to the beautiful singing of Cantor, Carol, Garrett. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be able to stand with her and to be able to share Shabbat with all of you. And I want to thank everyone here for coming. It's a pleasure to be here at the Carlisle in this hybrid service in which we join together congregation L'Dor Va-Dor and the residents of the Carlisle. I met someone outside and they said, I want you to meet a doctor, but he's not Jewish. I said, wait, we need him more than everybody. We're a light to the nations. Everyone is welcome. If you're Jewish, if you're Reform, conservative, orthodontist, whatever you are, everyone is welcome. If you're a believer in Orthodox Judaism, if you're a heretic, an atheist, we're all joining together. Because we Jews have a pretty tough job to do. We're supposed to bring light to a world of darkness. There's not a whole lot of us to do it, so we really need to stand together. We need to work together. We have difference of opinions on certain things, but hopefully we all agree that we are here for a purpose to make this world a better place. And hopefully we can all agree that we should do this in a rational way. If you agree with all of that, then you come to the right place, regardless of your background. We're going to have a wonderful service tonight here at the Carlisle, and I want to thank all of you for coming. And you're going to hear some very stirring words that motivated the founding fathers of this nation, as well as the founding mothers. And now we're going to start out with a beautiful song, which emphasizes what we should do every day. Recognize, even on a cloudy day, even when it's raining, it's a beautiful day. Why is this day beautiful? If it wasn't for rain, we wouldn't exist. How amazing it is that out of the sky falls water for all the plants around us. Imagine if we had to water every tree and every blade of grass and every flower. That would be a big chore. So we give thanks for the rain, and we start with Ma Yafeh Hayom, how beautiful is today.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom.
In our congregation, we have some wonderful people who contribute much to the society. One of them even does work for her community on the city council. That's a tough job. And she also served on our board, good friend of mine, and just someone who is, I would describe her as an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. It's my pleasure to call up Emily Jacobs Robards to come and lead us in the lighting of the Shabbat candles. You might wonder, how was she selected? How did the board, in its wisdom, they figured out who's been a light to our congregation, a source of light and joy? They should light the candles. So that's how she was selected, in case you were wondering.
I didn't know who you were talking about. I was looking around the room.
There you go, you can use my mic.
Thank you. Another week of work is ended. Again, Shabbat brings welcome peace. We pause from our labors to let Shabbat give another dimension to our lives. These Sabbath candles are symbols of the holiness we seek. Their brightness dispels gloom and lights a path of faith and hope. Their glow reminds us of the sacred bonds that link us to our people over space and time. Their radiance summons us to fulfill our people's mission, to cast the light of freedom, justice, and peace upon all the world. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. I may be all those things, but I've never been Pyromania.
There you go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotov v'tzivanu lahadlik hanir shel Shabbat.
Before the cantor sings the blessing, I just want to share with you that Emily demonstrated for us what it means to be Jewish. See, we're trying to bring light to the world, but it takes a while. It doesn't happen right away, but we don't give up, all right? We don't just say, well, forget about it. We persist. So thank
Hey,
you.
Emily.
I have to say, I just want to say that this has been a very tough week for the world. As you know, a week of violence, a week of depression, a week of sadness. And the fact that we're all here gathered, this is a very positive thing, and we should hope for peace and well-being and for the future of the human race.
Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you,
those
Emily.
beautiful words.
Absolutely.
Now the candle.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. You can smell the candles. Can you smell them?
That's great.
It's
I think somebody added some
lovely.
incense to them, perhaps.
Yeah.
Now, if you notice that I appear a little bit nervous this evening, that's because normally, if I make a mistake in the Hebrew, most people aren't going to notice. As long as I get the basics like Baruch atah Adonai, I get the Shema. But tonight, we have someone who is not only from Israel and speaks fluent Hebrew, he's really an Israeli scholar. He doesn't just speak the language, he's a linguist and a student of history, and someone that I admire very much, who also helped defend Israel. Sachi Gadish, he's going to come up and he's going to share with us the Kiddush. And now he's not going to say Kiddush, though. No. He's going to do the Kiddush. There you go.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which one you want, the long version?
Yeah, go ahead, go for it. I don't want to cut you short here. So. And hold the microphone fairly close.
Okay. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן.
Amen.
You want to sing it or read it?
No, where is it?
Oh, you need the Hebrew, right? Do we have the Hebrew?
I have here. You can come here.
Come on over here.
All right.
Come use mine.
All right. You want some to accompany? Can you
Composer.
accompany it? Carol, can you play?
אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו, ורצפנו בשבת בעבר רצון הנחלנו, מעשה בראשית, כאילו יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליאת מצרים.
V'tanor kidashta mikol ha'avim, v'shavat chachava, v'hava u'chatzon, nichaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh ha-Shabbat. Here's the English if you want to read
You know the English.
it.
Tודה רבה.
Everybody, l'chaim, and be well. A big zint. Let's stay healthy and happy. That's why
Thank you
we're
very
here.
Thank you, Shakti.
Thank you.
And you can make any mistake in Hebrew, no problem.
Thank
Just
you.
not when I'm here. Yeah, gonna drink that. Is that wine?
Yeah, go for it.
Vodka?
Thank you. Oh, very good. Good to the last drop.
That's right. On Shabbat, we got to take advantage of all the joys that the world presents to us, represented by drinking the entire cup. We're now going to continue with Mi chamocha.
No,
Oh, no, I'm
both
on the-
sides now.
Oh, I skipped a page. Okay, the next thing on the program is both sides now. However, I'm not gonna do either side because this song is still in the works. I haven't quite perfected it yet. So I'm gonna leave it out and I'll save it for another day. And we're gonna go right into the,
Responsive reading.
well, first I have to do the introduction and invitation to prayer. So we're going to have a whole bunch of prayers and then we're gonna do some responsive reading. Just want to share with you that it is very interesting going from place to place. I'm never quite sure where we're gonna be one month to the other. And when I do the Shabbat celebrations, invariably afterwards, someone said, "You forgot to do this. Why didn't you do that? Why did you do this?" So we're gonna do some prayers that we hope everybody likes. We won't do all the ones that you would like, because if I responded yes to all the requests, we'd be here for a very long time. But the main thing is this. If we can come away from this Shabbat celebration giving thanks for everything around us, if we can give thanks for our friends, for our family, for this amazing heritage, and for the special role that we have to try to bring a smile to the face of others and try to make this world better, if we can derive that from this Shabbat celebration and carry it through the week, then it's all good. Then that's what we're supposed to do. So everybody will have their prayers that they do. We're going to do some of them, but that's the main thing. They're all a different way of saying, thank you, let us rejoice. And so now we have responsive reading. Please read the part in the bold. Light and darkness, night and day, we marvel at the mystery of stars.
Moon and sky, sand and sea, we marvel at the mystery of sun.
Twilight, high noon, dusk and dawn, though we are mortal, we are creation's crown.
Flesh and bone, steel and stone, we dwell in fragile, temporary shelters.
Resplendent skies, sunset, sunrise, the grandeur of creation lifts our lives.
Evening, darkness, morning, dawn, renewing our lives, providing us with love, compassion, and grace.
Roll into dark.
Please read, or sing with me. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Hooray on Delilah. Olelo bifnei Choshen. Olelo bifnei Choshen. V'Choshen mifnei Or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into night. Night becomes day, day turns to night. So on Sunday, I'm leaving to go to Havanashira, which is a camp for cantors and rabbis to go. And the person that wrote this is one of the people that is one of the leaders of the camp, as well as many other people that have written several of the other songs that we do on Friday night services. They all go and they teach us as cantors and rabbis and song leaders how to do their music. And one of the things they do is they sing both of these parts together at the same time. So when we're doing it, we sing both parts together. It's you know, and it really sounds cool when you can sing them both together. Maybe we'll try it sometime.
We'll get there one of these
Yeah.
days, but when she comes back, she'll have some brand new songs for us to enjoy.
A bunch more that I may not be able to use right away.
Now we're going to continue with the Baruch Hu. If it works for you, please stand. Call to worship.
Baruch Adonai, Adonai, Leolam Vaed.
Grant us the privilege vision of the liberating joy of Shabbat, of truly tasting its delights.
We are disturbed by sorrow during these holy Shabbat hours.
Help us to expand the dimensions of all Shabbat's pleasures, to extend its spirit to the other days of the week.
May our words and meditations help to bring peace to our universe and world. And let us say, Amen.
And now, hoping that we can see the unity of the world around us and that all people can, even in Russia and Ukraine, may everybody see that we are all one mishpacha, one family reflected in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue with the V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושינתם לבניך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
My friends, if you want to see one of the clearest examples of anti-Semitism in the world, check out what goes on in the United Nations. The only nation in the Middle East where women are respected, where you have freedom of religion, where you can criticize the government and live to talk about it, the only nation that even comes anywhere remotely close to what we have in the United States and is actually on a par with us in equality and liberties, is the one that is subjected to the most vicious and vile and persistent slander and canards by the United Nations, which singles out Israel, while the rest of the world is doing despicable and unspeakable acts. If only they would read these words that we're going to read and recognize that these words adorn the United Nations. The United Nations was inspired by Jewish prophets, and yet it's turned against us. Let us read these words, and let us remind the world that these words which appear at the United Nations were penned by the Jewish people, and it is our ideals that led to the hope that all nations could live in peace and harmony. We read responsibly. Let them beat their swords into plowshares. Let them beat their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation. Let them study war no more.
You shall not hate another in your heart. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Let the stranger in your midst be to you as the native, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Lo yisagoy al goy charav.
And now we continue with Mi Chamocha.
kamo kadesh edaba kodesh Nora tehilot Moshe feleh Nora tehilot Moshe feleh Malachur karehu banecha Ukei ayam mipnei Moshe Zelianu v'yameru Zelianu v'yameru Adonai Yimlo Le'olam Va'ed Adonai Yimlo Le'olam Va'ed Mi kamocha be'elim Adonai Mi kamocha be'edeba kodesh Nora tehilot Moshe feleh Nora tehilot Moshe feleh.
Now, with thanks to our ancestors who handed us this beautiful heritage that we have, and with hopes that we can live up to the sacrifices they made for us, we continue with the Avot V'Yimachot. Once again, if you can comfortably do so, please stand. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanova El Yodon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please be seated. We continue with L'Dor Va-Dor.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hopes and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. L'Dor Va-Dor, Nagid Golecha. L'Dor Va-Dor, we protect this chain from generation to generation. L'Dor Va-Dor, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children on your way. And the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. L'Dor Va-Dor, Nagid Golecha. L'Dor Va-Dor, we protect this chain from generation to generation. L'Dor Va-Dor, these lips will praise your name. L'Dor Va-Dor, these lips will praise your name.
Now this next part is optional. It only applies to people who have reason to be grateful. If there's nothing that you need to be grateful for, then you don't have to participate in the silent meditation when we're going to give thanks. But just to help you along a little bit, you might want to think back about how your parents happened to meet and think, I'm sure glad that my parents both decided to go out on that date, or that when they met, they weren't already married or dating somebody else. They decided to get together. Otherwise, might not be here. In fact, I wouldn't be here. We should give thanks for that encounter, as well as their parents and their parents and their parents, all of which had to happen. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We also know that, unlike what our ancestors believed, that all this was foreordained and had to be, what really happened is that there were a lot of things flying around the early solar system. And it was kind of like a cosmic roulette going on. Everything was colliding with each other. A chunk of space debris hit Earth and formed the moon. And somehow we survived all of those cataclysms. Somehow Earth managed to survive. If one of those meteors hit a little differently, we wouldn't be here. So we might want to give thanks for all of those miracles as well. And let's think to ourselves, now that we made it, now that all those things happened, so we're here, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do to take advantage of this great gift called life that we happen to enjoy at this particular period of time in the United States, where we are free? And despite all the problems we have, we still have abundance and we have truly reason to rejoice. So those of us who do have something to be thankful for, let us participate a few moments of silent meditation. We also hope for a refuah shlema for those who are ailing. Let me read the names for you. Michelle Bernstein, Robert Bluttinger, Huey Cohen, Bruce David, Teresa DeRoches, David Deitch, Bob Druce, Donna Field, Wendy Frank, Laura Gallagher, Richard Glass, Sherry Glass, Renee Golub, Erwin Gross, Arthur Hoffman, Carol Kahn, Linda Kennedy, Carol Kramer, Dr. Sudhir Nair, Martha Reyna, Bernard Rosen, Sabine Rowland, Esther Sands, Fred Spieloff, and Naomi Volan. Anybody else?
Jennifer Strauss.
Any other names?
Neil Bernstein, Susan Haven, and DeSantis, Gary Haven.
Anybody else? All right. We hope all those who are ailing will receive a refuah shlema.
Instead of Mishaberach, we have a little bit different song today. Adonai, Adonai, Zuri, Zuri, Adonai, Zuri, V'Goali, Adonai, Adonai, Zuri, Zuri, Adonai, Zuri, V'Goali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth, and the meditations of my heart Be kind, be kind, be true, be true. May they be acceptable to you. Oh, my rock, my rock, my rock, and my redeemer. Yehu Ratzon Imrefi Ve'yon Libi Yehu Ratzon Imrefi Ve'yon Libi Levanecha.
Now we're going to have the Torah service. Torah is the teaching. We read the Torah in order to see some of the wonderful insights of our ancestors and to see if we can live up to them today. We have the responsive reading that we do prior to the reading of the Torah. Please join with me. Happy is the one who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding.
For its fruits are better than silver, its yield than fine gold.
It is more precious than rubies, no treasure can match it.
The world is sustained by three things: by Torah, by worship, by loving deeds.
Al Shlosha Devarim.
Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Olam, Amen. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Olam, Amen. HaTorah ve'Avodah ve'Gevurot Hasadim. HaTorah ve'Avodah ve'Gevurot Hasadim.
Now we have the blessing before the reading of the Torah. You can all please join with me. Please stand if you like, or you can stay seated, whatever you like. Baruch Adonai Habarach L'Olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Please be seated.
Oh, that's right, I moved it. It's at Bahar now, actually, it should have been.
Should have been.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bear right there, Bear Adonai.
Due to circumstances beyond my control, you are in luck. We have one of the most amazing lines in all of the Torah. It's kind of in the middle of the Torah, and Bahar means in the mountain, Bahar Sinai, it's talking about Mount Sinai. And this line is so amazing, it actually shows up on the Liberty Bell of the United States of America, and was one of the ideals that motivated our founding fathers. It goes, U'kohatem d'hor ba'aretz l'chol yoshveha, which means, you know, it's on the Liberty Bell. You shall proclaim liberty throughout the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. I don't have the actual passage here, so I'm just going to read that line because I have committed that one to memory, but that's really all we need from this Torah passage. But I will spend a little bit of time explaining and sharing some insights about the passage. Blessing after the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu tovat emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Well, this is one of my favorite passages because of this wonderful line. It also has something kind of, I guess, mysterious, something that strains credulity. It says that, it talks about the Jubilee year. Jubilee comes from the Hebrew Yavel, which is a ram's horn, or a ram, Yavel, and it's how we get the word Jubilee. The Y and the J are interchanged. And what it says is on the 50th year, you count 7 weeks of years, 7 times 7. 7 was a big number. In case you don't know why, 7 was a big number because they looked up and they saw 7 objects in the sky moving around. The stars were relatively fixed, but there were 7 things that were moving around a lot. That was the sun and the moon and 5 planets, what they were able to see with the naked eye before telescopes. So 7 seemed to represent godlike beings. And so 7 by 7, 49 on the 50th year, that was a big deal. And they had a year of release. And on the 7th year also, release from debts and obligations. On the 7th year, they actually said to let the land be fallow. And then the Torah says this, if you do that, and you respond and listen to my ways, guess what's going to happen? You'll eat from the land that 7th year, but you don't have to plow or sow or anything. You just take what's there. And I'm going to give you a bumper crop for 3 years so that you don't have to plant or sow. You can give it a rest. And I'm going to give you extra so that the next year and the year after, because you didn't sow anything, that you're going to be good. And you have to accept or believe, if you're Orthodox, that this actually happened, that they actually they let the land go fallow every 7th year. Fortunately, if you're not of that persuasion, you don't have to strain credulity. But here's what we do know, that this passage and this ideal of freedom was seen as so marvelous and such a beautiful concept that the entire Western world has benefited from it and emulates it. And it made its way onto the Liberty Bell of the United States, which is a symbol of freedom for the entire world. So these words from Leviticus have now inspired humanity. I mentioned that our words from Jewish scripture motivated the foundation of the United Nations. And they also inspired the founders of the United States of America. And just in case we forgot, a Jewish woman had her words put on the Statue of Liberty, reminding us that freedom speaks with a Hebrew accent. But we have a lot of work left to do. Yes, our words have inspired the world, but the world is not yet free. We today have a Jewish guy who's leading the world and showing us what freedom's all about and courage, fighting against oppression in Russia. Zelensky, who is born of Jewish parents. Unfortunately, because of things that happened in his part of the world, and a lack of education about his own history, he's rather unaware of his own heritage and the fact that his parents and his people suffered horribly because of the Holocaust. He kind of overlooks that and even compared the Holocaust to what's going on in Ukraine. What's going on in Ukraine is horrible and horrific, but it doesn't even anywhere resemble the Holocaust. But what I want to talk to you about today is what is stopping the Jewish people from being able to proclaim these ideals to the world and having them catch on? What? I mean, we've had these ideas for a while. You know, like they're thousands of years old, and we've been around for a while. I mean, are we just not doing our job? Are we slackers? Are we afraid to proclaim our word or not really believing in it very much? I present to you, I suggest to you that the reason why, at least one of the reasons why these ideas haven't caught on and why we've been prevented from being able to make them real in the world is because of anti-Semitism. That's what I want to share with you today. Because we've been so busy just trying to survive, just trying to keep our head above water, just trying to deflect all these lies about poisoning wells and being responsible for the death of false messiahs and being responsible for worldwide cabals. I mean, we've been so busy trying to deflect all these lies and trying to keep alive that we really haven't been able to effectuate this job that we do, this mandate that we do that is so important. What's going on today? Well, today we're free in the United States. Today you could say, yeah, a lot of Jewish people have gone AWOL. How many people show up in synagogues, which is really the foundation, the inspiration, the motivation to get us interested in this mission? And most people say, I don't need the synagogue. I can just be a good person. I wish it were that easy. But we've been trained throughout history not to think of our essential role. And it's due to anti-Semitism. And the reason why I thought about that, I wasn't going to speak about it until I went to a meeting yesterday of something called the Interfaith Cafe. And the topic was anti-Semitism. They had a speaker who was supposedly an authority on anti-Semitism. And she gave her presentation. And I just want to tell you, it was a pretty horrifying evening for me. And when I see the level of anti-Semitism and the absolute refusal or failure of Christians and Muslims to understand the phenomenon and the failure of Jewish leadership to really defend ourselves, this is what happened. The lecture showed some really interesting films, some really good films, and some of them involved fanatical, crazy, radical Muslim scholars, leaders, imams, preaching vile things about the Jews and about Israel. And then mentioning the fact that anti-Semitism has now been rendered acceptable by anti-Zionism. And before, it became now unpopular after the Holocaust to be against Jews, so now you just go against the Jewish state. And now students on campus don't feel safe. My son is on campus. I get scared if he wears a Jewish star. What kind of world is this? Where we can't even feel safe. We who brought the religions of Islam and Christianity to the world, although in altered form, we who presented these ideals, we can't even go around saying we're Jewish because we're afraid? What's going on? So this is how she was received. One of the leaders of this interfaith group, a founder of the Islamic Center, Boca Raton, said, you know, I was really offended by your presentation. You know, if you're going to go around talking about anti-Semitism, you shouldn't do it in a way that's going to get Muslims upset. That's going to be so offensive to Muslims. You know, I saw this guy up there, and you made us look bad. That's not a way to win people over. You got to be friendly. And we should have walked out. But we didn't, because we're above all that. We're very understanding, but we didn't walk out. And I tried to get in a few words, but it was almost impossible. But what I wanted to say is that Israel is the only land in the Middle East that's free. It's the only place where you have equal rights. And it's getting all this opprobrium from the United Nations. And by the way, if you want to show Muslim imams lecturing about Israel and ranting and raving, he acted like this was an aberration. It's not an aberration. And he wouldn't listen to me, but in Europe, Jewish people are afraid for their lives. I mean, they were hounded and persecuted and annihilated by Christians, and now it's by Muslims. And he didn't want to hear it. Nobody wanted to hear it. They don't want to hear about this. But that was not an aberration. And we know that, and he said, you didn't even talk about all the Muslims that helped the Jews during the Holocaust. Why didn't you mention that? It's like, you mean like the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who was a Nazi collaborator? The amount of anti-Semitism and ignorance is appalling. And the Jewish leadership, this woman who presented this, by the time she was done, she was apologizing. She was like, oh, I'm so sorry that I offended you. Well, maybe it's time that we told the truth. Okay, and the truth is a little more nuanced than some people think. I go to mosques in South Florida, and everyone I go to, they welcome me with open arms. They are very, very friendly to Jews. I'm very friendly with a lot of the imams. I'm not here to say that all the imams are bad news and all the Muslims are. I have many, many friends in the Muslim world, and they welcome me. But it wouldn't be that way in Syria. And it would not be that way in Jordan. And it wouldn't be that way in Lebanon or any of these surrounding countries where they've tried over and over again to destroy Israel. So I guess what I'm here to say is we need to speak up. We need to build bridges. We need to make friends. I have extensive friends throughout the Muslim and the Christian communities, but we also need to tell the truth about what's going on. And the truth is that in the foundational documents of Islam and Christianity are many wonderful teachings which they got from us, but there's also blatant anti-Semitism. It culminated in the Holocaust. It culminates in just trying to destroy Israel. And we got our work to do. We need to overcome this, and then we can proclaim liberty to the people of the world. So I know this might have seemed a little bit dark. Maybe it seemed a little bit negative, but I think we need to confront reality and recognize that our people, we have a long way to go. And I, for one, am pleased to be with all of you because you come out here and you believe in Judaism and you believe in our ideals and you're willing to fight for them. And let us, now that we live in a post-Holocaust world where people aren't going to come and kill us for telling the truth, let us tell the truth. And the truth is that we Jews brought liberty, brought freedom, brought these ideals to the world, and we aren't going anywhere until we carry out our mission. So let us do that with pride. Let us not be intimidated, and let us speak up for Jewish ideals. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom. And now I'm going to turn it over to, I guess Carol's going to sing Our Faith Will Go On and On. And I think I might help her out here. The Romans, the Greeks and Babylonians, and proudly fly a L'Dor Va-Dor. Throughout the ages, guided by sages, we've thrived while they are long gone. Here we still are, led by a star from afar that we still wish upon. Forevermore, L'Dor Va-Dor, our lives are blessed with chesed and values that go on and on.
Each Shabbat in our dreams, the world seems so splendid with marvels that we gaze upon.
Our slumber has ended, our neshama has transcended, and the dreams of our prophets live on. We're here in our 3,000th year, and our vision and our mission of peace goes on. Here we still are, led by a star in the night, shedding light with a faith that goes on and on. Here we still are, led by a star from afar that we still wish upon. Forevermore, let L'Dor Va-Dor lives are blessed with chesed and values that go on and on. Now, my friends, we continue with the Aleinu.
Please rise in body or spirit. Aleinu Shabbat Candles, La Tekadula, Yosef Bereshit, Shalom Asanu, Gloye Haratzon, Elos Amanu, Kamish Bechol Hadava, Shalom Sam, Kakedu Gahem, Negor Aleinu, Kichol HaAvodam, Ve'anachnu Korim, U'mishacharim, U'modim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, V'melech ha'koretz, V'yom hahu, Yiyeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad.
We remain standing for the Kaddish. As we read the Kaddish, remember those who have recently been taken from us: Ruthie Bordigan, Steve Adler Golden, Mildred Hecht, Sherry Heyman, Linda Pruskin, Jane Rosenblum, Elaine Silver, and Seymour Feldman. Those the anniversary of whose departure occurs these days: Mordecai Block, Roger Brenner, Jules Cohen, Robert Cohen, Barbara Corman, Evelyn DeSarno, Mel Fishman, Conrad Friedman, Samuel Gitterman, Ruth Goldman, Matthew Grant, Nancy Heyman, David Hoffman, Larry Kaminsky, David Cohn, Gertrude Kornblue, Edna Kramer, Louis Millman, Helene Mochan, David Mulrad, Louis Newman, Shelley Pilch, Charles Plotke, Louis Seligman, Francis Siegel, Rabbi Sam Silver, Harold Silverman, Myron, Mike Sussman, Shirley Taylor, Joel Tamarkin, Herman Wald, Louis Weiner, Edith Werby, Arthur Wellens. Anyone else? Any other names for us? May their memory be a blessing and inspire us to acts of kindness and mitzvahs. Let us read the Kaddish together. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shameh rabba v'yomad yibach l'seh v'yamliv ma'achuseh v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayedu chol beis Yisrael v'agalav izman kachi v'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabba miborach olam omei omayah Yisporach v'yistapach v'yispoar v'yispomam v'yisnaseh v'yisadar v'yisaleh v'yisallah shemei k'rishah v'richut Ve'elo minko b'rchasa v'shirasa Yishbechasa v'nechamasa Dam yavon v'yomah v'yimru amen. Yehi shlam araba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'yimrumav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Now, I guess you can stay standing because we have the priestly benediction. Cheryl will sing.
Announcements first.
We have the announcements first.
We did.
We'll do them afterwards.
Okay.
We'll do the priestly benediction.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yismarecha.
May you be blessed and protected with good health and prosperity.
יאיר אדוני פניו אליך וקונך.
May the light of reason and of love shine upon you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך ויעשה לך שלום.
You be lifted up by the power of our heritage.
ויעשה לך שלום.
And be a source of peace. And you can be seated for the final benediction. I just want to share this with you also about last night. Last night at this meeting, there were also Christians and Muslims, a microcosm of the many Christians and Muslims in the world who are working with the Jewish people and working with other people to make this a better world. So I hope that we who brought Torah to the world and we who brought this appreciation for life will remind all of those who have taken our Bible, distorted it, and then tried to force feed it back upon us and everyone else what it really means to choose life. Because we know in our heritage what it means to be pro-life. It means to support health care for all people. It means to convert swords into plowshares and get rid of the plethora of these horrific weapons that are in the hands of stark raving lunatics. It means to provide basic requirements of food and nutrition for people. It means instead of trying to force women to become parents in an already overcrowded world, to try to have a day dreamed of by Planned Parenthood where all children will be wanted children and regarded as precious. And to be pro-life will mean that we care not just about humans, but all living things. And that we also do everything we can to protect this planet from our own destruction. And that we join with all religions of the world to have a spiritual transformation which will view our primary objective to save this planet and all its inhabitants. May we all be part of that effort. Amen.
Amen. Now we're going to call Sharon.
Now we have Sharon to come up and to share her announcements and any other comments you'd like to make.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone here and everybody in virtual land. I wish you all a wonderful week. On May 21st, tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m., we have Shabbat, Shira, and Havdalah. That's an extra special service on Zoom with Andy Sussman leading us. On May 24th, 7 p.m. on Tuesday, we have Torah study with Rabbi Barry. And we also have Andy Sussman this Tuesday sharing a little bit, a touch of music along with our touch of Torah. Next week, May 27th at 7 p.m., we'll be back here at the Carlisle for Shabbat service. And we hope you will bring a friend or two and join us here. And we won't have a Zoom and schmooze tonight, but we do have our links up there for our L'Dor Va-Dor.org website, our YouTube channel, Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor, and our Facebook page. And we hope that you'll share us with people out there and let them know what a wonderful rational Judaism approach we have. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to Rabbi Barry. Thank you to Cantor Carol for all they do and making this service a beautiful service for tonight. Thank you.
As well as to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon, for all your efforts to bring us into cyberspace. Now we're going to have Tefillat HaDor.
Yeah. May we be blessed as we go on our way. May we be guided in peace. May we be blessed with health and joy. May this be our blessed blessing. Amen. Please sing. Amen. Amen. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. May we be sheltered by the wings of peace. May we be kept in safety and in love. May grace and compassion find its way to every soul. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen.
Before we sing Hatikva, I just want to share with you that we're going to sing the national anthem of Israel. And one of the things I think that makes our people great and helps us to survive is that we don't mind criticizing our own nation, our own prophets. We can make fun of them without invoking a death penalty. The hallmark of mental health is to be able to criticize. And when we can criticize ourselves and see what's wrong and fix it, we're doing well. And if we can criticize even things in our own religion and then use it as an example for others for self-reflection, we're doing well. So let me just say when we sing Hatikva, I am so proud of the state of Israel. We have Sachi here who's representing, I guess, all of those courageous people who made it happen, people who did the impossible. And we give thanks for Israel and we celebrate Israel, but it doesn't mean we don't criticize Israel, because when we can't criticize, that's when bad things happen. And so I'm not too crazy about the right wing, and the settlers make me rather unsettling. But I give thanks for Israel and the freedom and the ideals that they set for us. So let us stand up, all of us, regardless of our views about this policy or that policy. Let us give thanks for the state of Israel as a beacon of light for the world with Hatikva.
We are grateful also to America and the American soldiers. And something someone said last week is, you're only talking about Israel. What about us American soldiers that have fought? And we, of course, are grateful for them as well. And if we neglect to mention that, it's not because we're not grateful.
Thank you very much, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for joining with us.